What is up, everybody? It's Rollin' Dirty coming back at you with another video. Been a little bit. So this is my relatively new Commander Pro. I've had it for a little while, so I don't know, probably about a few weeks or a month or so, and have enjoyed getting to ride it. It took a little getting used to because, as you can see, I put a Shinglewood 244 tire on this thing instead of what it comes with, and the Shinglewood 244 is a 3-inch tire, and this is designed for a 2.75-inch tire width. This rim is, and so I think it results in a slightly sharper profile, which took a little getting used to, but now that I'm used to it, it's no big deal at all. I will say the Shinglewood 244 is a beast off-road, and it's really agile on-road too. This is a very nimble wheel if you compare it to, for example, the Sherman-S, which has a much more flatter profile to the tire. It's easier to keep the Sherman-S upright, in my opinion, but it's really just a matter of rider skill at the end of the day. And once you get used to this wheel, it's no longer an issue. You know, here I'm doing probably 35 miles an hour. It's not difficult for me anymore. And initially it was a little wobbly, feeling a little teetery because of the profile to the tire, but I figured it would be worth it off-road to practice and get used to this tire, and I think it has. And what you're going to see today is me taking my wheel from my place all the way to the destination that I plan on riding, and then around on that destination. There's some trails up there that you're going to be seeing me go on here pretty soon. You'll see me go up a hill. That's a pretty significant elevation rise pretty quickly. Commander Pro doesn't ever heat up, doesn't overheat. It's been really easy to just kind of, like, you know, set it, forget it, and ride it. I'll tell you what, the C38 motor on this thing has got some amazing torque. It's better than any of my other wheels. I mean, you'd expect it to be because this is my only 134 volt wheel, but it's still way better than any of my other wheels at slower speeds on inclines. It's just not an issue. My current riding weight's probably about 215 pounds here, so, you know, I'm not a lightweight by any means, and it doesn't seem to have any issues with moving me around. So today's video is going to be kind of long form because I wanted you to get kind of an uncut view as to what I normally use this wheel for. It's really a really great all-purpose wheel, at least with this tire. I mean, I don't have any trouble on road with it, and off-road, if you know the Shinglewood 244, it's incredible. And with the 3600 watt-hour battery, it means that I can ride it to my destination and ride around and then ride back in most cases. I mean, sometimes I'll throw this in the back of my vehicle and take it further to go on a different trail, and, you know, that makes perfect sense. I wouldn't ride it all the way there, but the ability for me to just hop on the wheel and ride it out from my place, go to some sweet trails in my area, ride around on them as much as I want till my legs and knees are tired, and then come back on the same wheel is incredible. And, you know, in today's ride, I'll probably put like almost 30 miles on this wheel. You won't see all of that because the battery runs out on my camera, but I'll put 30 miles on this wheel today, riding it at for great lengths. I rode it on the way back. I rode it on road the entire way, and the speeds were about 40 miles an hour, and I just held it at 40 miles an hour. And when I got home, I was at like 40% battery. So I was pushing it pretty good, and I still had 40% when I got home after putting in about 30 miles. So if you really want to get long mileage out of this, you can. You just got to ride it at lower speeds, which I don't prefer doing. Check out this pothole I hit up here in just a sec. I mean, it phased me, but I was, going like 30, 35 miles an hour there, and it didn't knock me off. On my Sherman Max, that would have been really jarring. Since I'm a little bigger, I run all my wheels at 45 PSI. I know some of you are going to think that's nuts. That's fine. But at 45 PSI, I don't have to worry about the rim. And I figure if I ride it at 45 PSI, starting from the onset, and I just learn to ride the wheel like that, then it's not a big deal. And it hasn't been. I mean, like I said, it was a little teetery in the beginning, but I got used to that, and I really enjoy riding it now. It's not like I never did, it's not like I didn't enjoy riding it. It just took some getting used to because of the tire profile. Pedal height's a little higher than anything else I have too, so that was a little bit of an adjustment, but that wasn't really a struggle, to be honest. I actually really like the pedal height being higher. So much nicer not having to worry about hitting my pedals on roots and stuff. And you'll see that when I get up to the trail I'm headed to here pretty soon. Most of the time when I ride around, I get thumbs ups and waves and smiles. Occasionally I'll get somebody who's unhappy with their life and want to blame me for it. But that's not real common. Most people just find it interesting that I'm riding this thing around. We'll be through this light in just a minute. From street to trail, it's like I like to think about this wheel. I've got the Extreme on order too. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about it when I get it. I have some apprehension about needing it now that I've gotten used to this. This basically gets me everywhere I want to go. We'll see what else I can do on the Extreme though. Maybe it'll change my mind. I'm sure I'll make a video about it. But for now, the Extreme, you got to think about the Extreme one way. That's the wheel you throw in your car and you take to the trail. You ride there and you put it back in the car because you don't have the battery. You don't have the battery capacity, and you don't have the circumference of the tire to do this very well, as has been recently revealed in a Chooch video where he had a cutout on road. I mean, it's just, you got to understand the physics of this. A smaller diameter tire has got less circumference, which means it's moving less distance per rotation. And what that means is if you want to go, let's say 40 miles an hour on it, you've got to have a higher RPM to achieve that. Higher RPMs are really draining on the battery, and that's why you'll see, like with the Extreme, the battery will dip pretty quickly. as a result of pushing the wheel at those RPMs. And so that really impacts your battery capacity as far as its usability to you on a trip if you're moving at higher speeds. Lower speeds, like on a trail and stuff, it's not going to be an issue because the rotations aren't going to be as high. So with the Commander Pro, the nice thing about having the 3600 watt hour battery is not only is the tire larger in diameter, you got that bigger battery capacity and all the torque of the C38, which is actually a fairly efficient motor, makes it a formidable package for, you know, all kinds of uses. And because the pedals are higher, and especially with the Shinko tire, it makes it really nimble. You got to think about pedal height as kind of like a lever. The higher your pedals are, the easier it is to influence the direction of the wheel, because you're working on a longer vertical lever to impact the tire's contact with the ground. So it's they're much, you know, think about the V12. If you've ever ridden the V12 HS or high torque, you put that in the highest pedal position, you'll find it's a lot easier to turn. Some people don't like that because it's too wobbly for them, but if you get accustomed to that, you'll find that controlling the wheel in situations where you need that amount of that nimbleness, it's a lot easier when the pedals are a little higher because you've got that longer lever to leverage the wheel with. This is a cool bridge. You can really get this thing rocking if you decide to push it side to side.
Hi guys.
It's just a cable suspension, so it'll get moving. These girls up here are going to be screaming something at me. If any of you guys can understand what it is, please let me know in the comments what they're saying, because I was just kind of chuckling as I went by. I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. It doesn't really matter to me. My feelings don't get hurt, but I just wanted to know what they were saying, because you'll see they're pretty animated about whatever it is they're saying as I go by them here in a minute. Suspension, baby, you can go over anything. At least that's what it feels like. I haven't hit anything it hasn't gone over yet. So I just ride it through the field because I don't have to worry about the gravel slipping out from under the tire when I'm accelerating. So here's the trailhead. It's kind of tucked away in here behind this campground. This is going to take me to the top of this hill. And on top of this hill are a ton of different mountain bike trails. This kind of stuff on this C38 motor takes hardly any battery. I can't believe how little it takes to get this wheel to go up the hill. It's definitely, you know, like you can do this all day long almost. That's how efficient it is in this operating zone here. Like I burn way more energy going fast than I do doing this uphill. In case any of you are wondering, you may have seen the license plate on the car that was back there at the stoplight, but this is Western Washington, and this particular location is at the base of the Cascade foothills on the west side of the mountains. So it's really green. It's really green here, and there's actually a lot of undergrowth. In a lot of forests, you know, you'll be able to walk between the trees. You can't really do that much here. I mean, this is actually pretty open for the area. But in most places, you know, there's so much growth at the base of the trees, you can't even walk between them because you'll just get caught up in blackberry bushes or vine maple or other viney plants that really impact your ability to get through the plants. So I love it when I find a good trail like this that's used enough to keep it kind of open. It doesn't have to be this clear for me to use it, but this is a nice and comfortable one with some parts that are a little challenging still because of the roots and the rocks and the loose material on the surface. Yeah, don't go over the edge here, right? It's a beautiful view, though, once you get up here. So this is a hill that's between where I live and another location on the other side of the hill called Ames Lake. And until just a week ago, I didn't know you could get there over this trail. But you'll find the end of the video after I go through a bunch of trails. You'll see me come out over on the Ames Lake side where there's a bunch of residences and a neighborhood and a street that circles the lake there. It's not a very big lake. And it's a lot of fun to ride because it's up and down and curvy. Most of the folks there have been there for quite a while. A lot of, you know, long-time residents there. But before I go down there, I'm going to hit a trail up here that is called the Shinglewood Loop trail, and it's a fairly long trail that goes, you know, in a big loop, so you can go around and around as much as you want. I like to ride that trail. It's nice and open and fun. Wouldn't mind if had a few more drops, or any drops for that matter. But there are other trails up here on this top of this hill that have those. They're just a little overgrown at the moment. See the Shinko getting it right there? Such a great tire for off-road. It's great on-road too, don't get me wrong. Don't let me overemphasize the off-road, meaning that it's not good on-road. It is good on-road, but it's not a street tire. But I don't really want it to be. I want to be able to do this. And as long as I can ride on pavement comfortably with it, and this well off-road, then this is perfect for me. Let's talk about the stock pedals on this thing. The stock pedals are fantastic. I have a pair of E-Rides pedals unused that I was ready to mount on this, but I tried the stock pedals on. I like them. I like how wide they are. That's something the E-Rides pedals don't have. So I'm probably going to keep these until there's a reason I can't use them, like if I wreck it or something and break a pedal. I'm going to keep these because they're comfortable. I'm using the E-Rides pads here as well, the side pads. You can see those. And one of the annoyances about the Commander Pro guys is those pads at the top, right there, that run along the top platform, front to back, right inside your knees. Those are just adhesive attached, and they don't stick. They just keep coming off. So I put Velcro down, and that has made it so there's no longer an issue. It widened them a little bit because of the Velcro, but it's not a problem. So here's the Shinglewood Loop. It's a fun trail. It's kind of an easy one. I'd like it if there were a little more, like jumps and stuff on it. There aren't really any. There's a couple of rises here, but they're like right before sharp corners, so you can't really hit them because you'll be going too fast when you land. But it's a very nice scenic trail, and I like riding up here just to go around on it because it's so beautiful. You can see I'm not having any trouble moving the wheel around, though. I mean, as far as the nuanced movement that is required on trails, this thing can totally do it. A little heavier than what most people want for a trail wheel, but for me, it doesn't feel heavy at all under my feet. Picking it up, that's a whole other story. It's a back workout. Especially the vehicle that I lifted into, because it's got a 6-inch lift, so I'm going to pick it up even higher. Next time I go up here, I'm going to take a little trail called Rabbit's Run, and that's a little more downhill. It's got a few more drops. It's a little more fun that way. These unicycles are pretty incredible. I mean, you think about it. What other device can you pick up and put in your vehicle that's got this form factor, this small, and this capable? There isn't anything. There's nothing. Anything else is going to require a trailer or a van or some kind of larger capacity to haul it around. It's probably going to be heavier. These electric unicycles are incredible because you can really get anywhere, almost anywhere on these things. I mean, they're not the best off-road vehicle, obviously, but they are, for most of us, these are pretty incredible. But what makes them so usable is they take up a tiny amount of space. They can go fast enough. They cost like $1.50 to charge them. If that. I haven't really done the math. Not much. And you can get really great range out of something like this. The biggest weaknesses so far that I've kind of noticed with electric unicycles is the waterproof ability. That's still something that people are demanding manufacturers do better with. This wheel is by no means waterproof. The claim is that the Extreme is waterproof. Well, we'll see. seals leak sometimes. They don't always hold. And then, you know, the risk of that is that you end up on your face on the ground. Besides, I don't really consider it enjoyable riding in the rain anyway, so it's not a likely use case for me. And I certainly wouldn't be up on this trail until it's dry, because riding in the mud's no fun either. Somebody's building a really nice house right there. Nice that they got proximity to the trail. You just go in their backyard and hop on the trail. I have to be careful how fast I go on this, because there are other people that use these trails, and I don't want to cause any accidents on a blind corner coming around them too quick. So I'm going about as fast as I'm comfortable based on what I can see ahead. Gotta figure out where I am here. There's a little arrow on that sign pointing to where the Shinglewood Loop trail continues, and I think it's just down the hill here. This is a service road that if you follow it takes you out to a neighborhood, but It's like it goes into somebody's backyard. So I didn't really feel comfortable going through the gate. Anyway, I hope this is some interesting content for those of you that have been looking for more Commander Pro content. I know that I've looked around for it, and there is some out there. There's just not very much. So I thought it might be interesting to some of you to get some long-form content with this wheel, showing what it can do start to finish. I wish I'd brought my second battery. I'm not sure I'd had enough SD card, but the ride home was a lot of fun. It was all on pavement, so that was interesting. First time I'd done that in that area. But the nice thing about 134 volts is that it can sustain higher speeds at lower battery percentages than, for example, my Sherman Max. My Sherman Max will be beeping at me like crazy if I tried to do 40 miles per hour, you know, under 60 or 65, 70% capacity. The Commander Pro doesn't seem to have an issue. When I got back, I checked my safety margin in the app, and the minimum safety margin was 22%, so I didn't even really get close to pushing it too hard. It's about where I need it to be comfortable. So if you're a little heavier like me, you know, closer to 200 pounds instead of the 140 to 160 that some of you little screamers are, the 134 volt wheels really help out with that additional weight. You can just do more for longer on them. I can't wait till they come out with like a 200 volt wheel. That'll be interesting. How many of you are going to work on the batteries for that sucker? Comment in the post below in the comment section if you'd be willing to work on a 200 volt DC battery with, let's say, 3600 watt hours capacity. That'll wake you up. You know what 200 volts would do to this T38 though? Holy crap, this thing would be screaming. Thermals would be interesting. But for, you know, if nothing, for a minute this thing would fly. Absolutely fly with 200 volts going through it. That's the next step. Everybody knows it. They gotta up the voltage. Everybody's building the higher voltage wheels now. Now the next step is to make them more powerful. The next one will probably be like 165, 164 volts, or whatever the math works out to be with the cells. We won't go right to 200, I don't think, but it would be interesting to see it happen. The hardest part's probably designing a control board that can handle the voltage. This is the trail, or service road, or whatever you want to call it, that takes me down to the Ames Lake area that I talked about previously. Almost wrecked trying to avoid a squirrel, though, right here. Didn't realize there was a big pile of rocks in the middle of the grassy area there. Went right over the top of it. There's a trail back there. There's a bunch of mountain bike trails all over this hillside. I don't know how many there are. There's probably 30 or 40. It's a great place to come ride if you mountain bike. So here's the Ames Lake area. Coming up here is where the battery on my camera runs out. But as you can see, you guys, the Commander Pro is a formidable unicycle, and you can take it from on street, at home, off-road, and all the way back, all in one trip, because it's got the battery capacity to do it, the torque to handle the trails, and the suspension to handle the terrain. I want to thank you all for watching. Appreciate you sticking it out to the end. Please like and subscribe, and if there's any comments you've got or questions below, I try to get to those regularly. Catch you next time.